guys, welcome back to another episode of On the Couch with Terry. Thank you so much for joining me once again. If you're new here, I just want to welcome you. Special thanks for, clicking on the link. I appreciate that very much. If you would like to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button. And please hit the like button if you did enjoy this video. And I'd like to hear from you. You can drop a comment and suggestion whatever you want to say about what you've seen so far. And to my community, to my people that have been here with me all these years, to my subbies, I just want to say I appreciate your support so much. And yeah, man, I think I just want to say I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your shares. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. And it's not easy being here. It's really not. It feels beautiful when I'm here, but like to get here, I feel like it truly takes the grace of God to be able to come. I'm like literally looking at my mic because I recorded the whole 15 minutes of the same show with my mic off. Anyway, story for another day. So yeah, welcome, and I hope you do enjoy this video. And if you did, please let me know. Let me know. As you saw in the title, so today we're talking all things vulnerability, and I'll tell you why we have to talk about this, okay? So what had happened was in the last almost 2 years, right? I think I was in a space where I really tapped into my my soft side. Yes, let's call it that. I really tapped into my soft side, and I've always known myself to be a tough cookie. I've always known myself to be independent. Like I've always known myself to be like a rock. I'm a rock, and I enjoyed that. But I think in the last 1 year, 2 years, I let all of that go and just be a girl. I just allowed myself to be a girl, and I think it's honestly is by the grace of God. Like to be honest, like I feel like it is God that made that space for me, because it was taking a toll on me, because it was taking a toll on me to not to keep building high walls, because I think my natural self, my natural response to life has always been protect yourself, protect your heart, don't be seen, build walls, period. They cannot hurt you if they don't know you. That's always been my approach to life for many years. And I think vulnerability for me, it's something that I had to learn and cultivate and like really be intentional about it. And I had to really exercise it in my relationships. Starting with my relationship with God, I had to be honest with him and be like, God, like, I don't trust you as much as I think or as much as I thought I did. For instance, I think I've observed myself, I've observed my faith as well in my walk with God, to say that, you know, there's so many gaps in how I relate to God. And I had to be honest with him and be like, look, God, like, you're good, you are faithful, you are trustworthy, you are my dad, you are my father, you're my creator, you're my everything, but I still don't trust you. And I have no reason to not trust God because of the testimonies that surround me, like because of I am, because He is, like everything is a mosquito. I am because He is. Everything that I literally have is because of the grace of God upon my life. Oh, guys, I have to close this mosquito. No way. Mosquito. No way. I literally got so distracted because there was a mosquito in this studio. So I hate mosquitoes. Literally hate mosquitoes. Hate mosquitoes. So I couldn't cope with it flying around the office, flying around this room when I'm here. Anyway, so I had to be really honest with him and be like, yo, God, like, I don't trust you as much as I thought I don't trust you as much as I want to trust you. uh, my walk with you has been hindered by my own traumas, and how vulnerability has shaped my relationship with God is just being a lot more honest in my conversations with Him, because I think sometimes we get into the when we go before the presence of God, we had a formula. We come in with like a formula in mind. And when I say a formula in mind, I'm talking about obviously the first things at first, like the reverence that you're speaking to the God of all creation. And the second thing, the second awareness when I come before God is that He's my Father. Um, but in all of that, they still like dishonesty in how I came before God. I wasn't very completely transparent with Him, although I know that He's all knowing. He's God that knows all of me, and I've always relied on He knows all of me, and therefore I don't have to communicate everything because He already knows it. And that's not really being honest with God. That's according to me. It's not being honest, because I can't rely on that alone, because that's like the relationship is not cultivated if there's no communication. If I assume that you know some stuff about me, but you don't affirm that you know those things, I don't know that you know those things, like that does not build us in any way, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't really do much to the relationship. So I had to be really like broken about it, and I'm progressing into correcting how I approach. And I'm grateful that I was able to sort of identify um the things that can really be a hinder to our faith and our walk with God, in the walk with the Holy Spirit, and yeah, the whole thing. So that is number one, and that's really truly been one of the major ones. But I also just want to talk about how like vulnerability has also like played such a tremendous role in how I relate to my platonic and my romantic relationship. And I'm gonna talk about how, especially in my marriage, like how this yo I don't know why the most beautiful things are the most difficult things. And I'm saying this because I feel like vulnerability, it's difficult. It's not an easy thing. It's not easy to get naked, emotionally naked, and be known like that. It's not very easy. It's scary because who knows, you might get hurt, you know? But when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, the most beautiful conversations or the most beautiful relationships are built from that place. And just as I was saying, just from like my marriage perspective, like I think we've been together for literally 12 years this year, not this next year. So 11 years together. And so you can imagine that the relationship had its own, you know, waves of how relationships are. Um, and there's been a waves of highs and lows and all of that. And there was a period where walls were built where we couldn't reach through to each other. And obviously that creates a sense of such grief and uh, coldness into the relationship. That's the best way to like really describe it. Um, but once I learned to be vulnerable and just communicate really and truly what I feel, um, that truly has like it's been such a major transformation into our relationship, because then it brought us together. Like the things that we used to beef about, we don't beef about because we talk about them. And we can beef now, but when we beef about it, we're able to also like be honest about how I feel about something, and he's honest about how he feels about it. And then we then, I don't know, for some, like we resolve the matter because we trust each other in that sense. We've seen each other. Like you're able to know exactly how I feel. You're able to know exactly where I stand. And from that perspective, we're able to sort of come back together from our two corners, we come back together and resolve it. And that's really been such a beautiful thing to really experience. Like I said earlier, like for me, it was not an immediate response to life. I'm not naturally like that person. I know how to build my walls very high. I do that. So for me, bravery in my body, like boldness in my body, looks like being vulnerable. And like, if somebody was to ask you, Terry, what does boldness look like to you? I've done skydiving, I've spinned a car, I've drove a car at full speed. Like I could press that pedal for like I believe that I'm a brave person. I'm a bold person. But if somebody was to ask me, what does boldness mean to you? What does it look like in your body that you, when you do it, you just really like, here is do or die. For me, um, it will truly be asking for help, being known, being vulnerable. That for me is boldness at its best. For me personally, there are things, there are people that they find that very easy. They don't even have to be sitting here talking about what I'm talking about. Very well for you, very happy for you. But for me, that's what it means. Because it's not easy. I think it also has a lot to do with how one grows up. Like, you know, how one grows up really does shape how you become in the future when you get older. And so some of the things that I'm experiencing right now, I generally don't want those for my kids. And so when everything that I do, I try to like protect them from the things that I went through that I don't think they're cool. So yeah, that's basically how that has changed, or that has really transformed my romantic relationship in my marriage. In the last one would be my platonic relationships, and how just being vulnerable has really drawn me to my people, like to my friends. um I, as I said, I've always been scared of, not scared, I've always just been fearful. I guess it mean the same thing, but like I've always been very skeptical about being known like that, being seen crying, being found wanting for, or being in a place where I'm like, you don't help me, nobody God help me, being in a place where I have to ask, or being in a place where I have to receive and just receive. um and with my friendships, genuinely, and I think they've proved themselves, like they've proved themselves, and I really do pray that I become the same version to them. And I'm hoping that I've been, but being honest, even in my platonic relationships, it has really been such a game changer, and it drawn me even closer to the people that mean the most to me. And this comes from, and it's so weird because like I don't have new friendships. Like most of my friendships, they like minimum of like 5 years, right? And the longest one being like 12 years. 12. 11 years, 11 years, 11 years, and minimum being, the longest one being 11 years, and the youngest relationship I have, friendship, would be like 5 years or so. But that's still long. So I don't make friends very easily because, like I say, like I'm a very nice person. I'm very like vibrant, and I get along with people very, very easily. So, but I don't make friends with people. Like we acquaintances are galore. I've got plenty of those. But they don't really like, my circle is my circle, my people are my people type of thing. And I think even in my small little circle, I found that I still reserved myself. I still was not comfortable crying. I still was not comfortable showing my real self. And once I allowed myself to just be like tears and all, it just been so beautiful. And I think I really created meaningful relationships during the time where I was the most honest and vulnerable. And I just want to say that honestly, vulnerability is such a gift. And I would encourage it, to be honest. I would encourage it, especially if you are a person like me who this thing doesn't come natural. This thing is you find scary. Just know that at at the end of that very difficult thing, there's always such a beautiful reward. And the beautiful reward of vulnerability is just solid relationships, good connections, creating meaningful relationships based on truth and based on genuineness and transparency. That's really all I wanted to talk about today, and coming here to be vulnerable again. Coming here to be vulnerable and share parts of myself where I guess I want to share. But obviously we just have to be very mindful of choosing your people. Like, yes, I'm talking about vulnerability, but that does not mean I'm gonna be this person to everyone. No. You choose your people, you choose the ones that you know love you. You choose the people that choose you. And it's not everyone that say they choose you. It is by the fruits that you know your people, right? That it is by the fruits that they produce that you're able to put someone on a scale and say, you're my person, you're in my circle, I can trust you, or I can bring you in. So it's just being mindful of that. Is obviously like, don't go on social media and trying to be vulnerable and putting your tears all over the place. That is being gullible. Like, don't be gullible, be vulnerable. And being vulnerable from like a secret place. And when I say that, I'm talking about your close relationships, just being really, really genuine with yourself. It's not about putting up a live like this and being vulnerable, and that's fake. That is fake. That is not true. It's just about in your corner, in your circle, create those true connections by being vulnerable with the people that choose you, as I said. But I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys listening to this message. If you know, if anything, this is your sign to start being vulnerable in the year 2025. This is your sign to start being honest with first yourself, and then with God, and then with your relationships. Just be honest about how we feel, be honest about be honest about that. And I do believe that will change so many things in your life, including your prayer life, because I believe you generally pray differently when you have been honest. If I was honest, like if I'm honest to my friend, for instance, about how, say, something happened and I really didn't like it, and I'm really honest about it. I'm like, dude, like what you said didn't sit well with me, and this is how I feel, and right. So we go through that, and later on, when I do go to my sacred place to pray, I'll also be honest with God. God, like, I know this is our time, but I'm not feeling too well because of what happened earlier. I don't feel that I'm in a space where I can worship the way I actually plan to worship today. Being honest would, being vulnerable and honest would really change even the way we relate to God, even the way we relate to our children, even the way we relate to our families. And also, like, not everybody deserves to see your vulnerability. No, 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 not everybody deserves to be in that beautiful space, because it is a very beautiful place to be in. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys on another episode of On the Couch with Terry. For now, it's peace out.